Are you an entrepreneur feeling overwhelmed by the weight of your responsibilities, yet unsure of how to navigate the mental health challenges that come with the territory? I'm reflecting on the conversation I had about the often overlooked pressures of the entrepreneurial lifestyle and practical self-care strategies with Dan Guido. He's the CEO and founder and co-founder of Trailbits. And we had a great conversation about mental health in the entrepreneur. And it's very important to understand that it's key that entrepreneurs take care of the mental health because there's a lot of challenges. The pressure and responsibility of ownership is huge. And Dan really discussed the intense pressures of managing a business with 120 employees, which causes stress, anxiety, and need to maintain mental health to protect both the business and employees. And that was a great point of Dan to make. We need to take care of our mental health to protect both the business and the employees. So please take care of the mental health. Now, the other thing that really makes it difficult on the mental health of the entrepreneur is the entrepreneurial loneliness, okay? It's very lonely at the top. So we talked about the lack of support for entrepreneurs, especially in the mental health. You need to be talking to people who had similar experiences, especially those who bootstrap their businesses without investors or advisors. The extra stress of, no money and don't know if you're going to have a business in another couple of weeks or months. It leads to isolation. And there's a huge misunderstanding of mental health, okay? So entrepreneurs often misunderstand conditions like stress, burnout, and fatigue, and that's overlooked as serious issues impacting daily functioning, which impacts your mental health. So mental health is not only depression, anxiety, general anxiety, bipolar, stress, excessive stress, burnout, and mental fatigue is a huge one. So how do we cope with these things, and how do we take care of ourselves? Dan had a really great idea and really good point. We need to take more breaks. And his analogy that even professional athletes need recovery days, so do we. So we can't be always 100% on the go within our companies. We have to take recovery days. That's time off, or in strategic coach terms, free days, okay? Not only do we need to take days off or recovery days, we also need to take breaks during the day in order to maintain the focus and to reduce burnout. Because the constant decision-making and processing of potential problems is very taxing, and that leads to burnout. Trust me, it does. Try a year of it. It gets on you and burns you out. The importance of exercise and meditation was discussed. Physical activity, to me, is a form of meditation. It puts you in the present. It gets you pushing. It improves your mental health and your mental focus and performance because you have to be present to do that exercise. And Dan also schedules exercise as a strategy to enforce breaks. So if you have it scheduled to go a certain time, then that gets you out and going. The other thing, too, I really liked is Dan really takes seriously the journaling, and with that comes reflection, okay? And like he said, it's a tool to manage mental fatigue. It organizes their thoughts and it reflects on the daily successes, and also helps alleviate overwhelming nature of your entrepreneurial task. For him, he writes it out. It determines his day, what he's going to do, and his style of journaling is structured. Me, I'm more about free writing because I really want to get rid of all that junk in my head. And with the ADHD brain, we need to get that out of our head and written, not try to remember it and bumble around in our head. We need to have it written down because now it's out. It has to get out so we can see it differently, and then we can actually follow it better because it's written somewhere. If it's just a brain dump, or in his case, it's a review of gratitude, but help structure his day and what he needs to do for that day, his way works for him, my way works for me, and that's the important thing. What works for you, do it, but just try. Just start writing and then develop your own system out of there. What mental health solutions are there? Well, we discussed a lot about the non-drug interventions. There's alternatives to medication. Structured sleep schedules he talked about highly. Journaling's another one, and even meditation. Meditation is all about being the present, the now. And with that, it just forces us to be present. And that really is key because being entrepreneurs, we're all over the place, and being ADHD even more all over the place. But that just tells us to focus, to bring everything into order now and to be present and know that we're safe, okay? So there are ways to improve our focus and reduce mental fatigue even without pharmaceuticals. Now, having that said, we're not saying not to take medication if it's needed, but do it with professional help. So Dan really discussed about him using prescription medication as treatment to open up possibilities for behavioral change, but he did it under direction of professional guidance, and it really helped him. But the other thing we did talk about too is we both feel that medication is to be used as a tool, and the goal is not to be on meds for a long term, because now it becomes a crutch. And mental health takes work. Therapy takes work, and we can't delegate that to medication. So please think about that. There's different ways of doing it, but at the same time, I think long term, I think it's the best advice is try to do it without medication, but at times you'll need medication depending where you are and when you need it. Okay? We need to break the stigma of mental health. Everyone talks about it. Yes, it's mentioned. Yeah, mental health, very important. It's all important. But in reality, no one's doing shit about it. What I'm really getting from Dan, and that's why I respect him a lot, is we're doing something about it. And we talk openly. And we need to advocate for more open conversations about mental health, especially among entrepreneurs. Every time I openly talk about mental health struggles, people come over to me and whisper, "Hey, André, I'm glad you talked about it because I'm struggling too. And I'm really cool that I'm not the only one." Because honestly, we're not the only ones. You're not the only one who's struggling. We all are. A lot of people are lying about it, saying everything's hunky-dory, everything's been great, woohoo. But honestly, everyone struggles with it. It's a challenge. I'm not saying it's a challenge all the time, but everyone will fall into it and have a challenge at one point. So by having these open conversations, we're going to challenge the stigma, and we're going to encourage others to take proactive steps towards self-care, more time off. Not taking time off is not bragging rights. It's not means you're stronger or better than anyone. Now it's getting to the point that you might be the dumbest person out there for not taking breaks or taking time off because it's just not healthy. Everyone around you gets affected when your mental health is at stake, okay? So how are you taking care of your mental health as a high-achieving ADHD entrepreneur? Please let me know. I'm very curious. You can email me at André@theimpulsivethinker.com. And I would really love to hear how you're taking care of your mental health. So thanks again for listening, and thanks again for learning with me. We'll talk to you soon.